Hello, and welcome to the premiere of Season 2 of Mean Reviews, No Stars Given, the show where indie authors and filmmakers agree to have their work reviewed, knowing full well that they won't receive even 1 star. America, home of the brave indeed. It is great to be back because a lot has happened since the Season 1 finale. We've had some really freaking cold weather here in Spokane, Washington. So cold. We also started moving into our freshly completed guest house, which is a lot of fun in sub-freezing temperatures. Uh, but let's get into the show. My guest co-host this week is Daniel Myers. Welcome, Daniel.
Yeah, hold on. Let me finish this chapter.
Well, of course, with that, no one would dare interfere somebody reading that.
All right.
Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to see you.
It's great to see you. All right, before we get right into the first review, a quick note about comments. We welcome every single comment, but we'll only be looking at them after we review each project. So a little context might come in very handy by the time we go back to look at the comments. So thank you. Our first book to review is A Dark Path, Forsaken Talents, Book 1 by Stuart Thaman. Nice cover, by the way. I liked it. It is grim, dark lit RPG. In this book, there is a virtual reality fantasy swords and sorcery type game that everybody plays, including Ben Hales, who is the protagonist. Ben is introducing his daughter to the game when a guy who used to work for him in the real world, but that Ben had to fire, starts being a real dick to him in the game. Ben turns to evil inside the game to pay the prick back. The stakes get pretty high when people start dying, and the grimdark designation I think is well earned in this project. Hopefully, I didn't give too much away there, but let's get right into the things that we like. I like Costco. Uh-oh, I thought that was supposed to happen. So I like Costco, and in fact, I don't just like it; I love it. Um, I buy so much there, not just because of their large quantities of each product either. I also buy lots of different products there: gasoline, paper towels, toilet paper, bottled water, cooking and baking supplies, chocolate covered almonds, maple syrup, furniture, kitchen stuff, appliances, and of course, the chickens. $4.99 rotisserie chickens. I can't even buy a raw chicken for that little. And then I use herbs and other stuff, as well as electricity to roast it. Then I have all of the cleaning. So by my calculations, it costs me well over $100 to roast my own chicken. I'm not saying math is my strong point, but that is what I came up with. And Costco charges $4.99 for theirs, like they have, it seems like forever. Sorcery. We could do an entire show on how great the Costco rotisserie chicken is, I think. Especially if we talked about all the recipes I use in it. And in fact, I'm getting hungry right now just thinking about it. Aren't you, Daniel?
I am too.
Okay.
They do have good chicken
I know.
and good pies
Oh,
and the best steak for the price.
it's an amazing place. So anyway, Costco is a big part of my life. I'm in there at least once a week to get gas, and sometimes 3 or 4 times between getting gas and various high quality products and services. I feel like I sound like I'm being paid to talk about
And
Costco,
don't
but I
forget the liquor store.
oh, that's right. Well, especially yeah, that's fairly new here in Washington State,
Oh,
but and in Idaho where I used to live, it's yeah, you still can't get that there. But anyway, um, because we were moving, during the move, we have really bought a lot of crap there. and really, I think, driven the stock price up. But imagine my surprise when Costco isn't mentioned even once in this book. My surprise and my anger. I finished reading it and I threw it on the floor, disgusted at the deliberate snubbing of the greatest set of stores on earth. Then I felt bad because I read it on my phone and I was afraid I heard it when I threw it on the floor. It was fine though. The phone case I bought really worked. I didn't even get it at Costco because I don't exclusively shop at Costco. I mean, I'm not crazy. But anyway, ultimately, the lack of Costco made it very hard for me to enjoy all of the good, well, and great things about this book. And it means I have to give it a 0 out of 40 um, low, those large, low cart, the orange ones that are like little barges for moving the really big items. So I have to give it 0 out of 40 of those. And those are the carts that they never seem to have very many of, especially if you need one. There's a zillion of the regular carts. Anyway, 0 of those for a dark
But
path.
the
What about
regular
you?
carts are pretty big too.
They are. They are. They won't hold a desk like I just bought.
No.
But um, but what about you, Daniel? What do you like?
Well, it was lit RPG, so one of the things I like is barbarian characters. The big X's, the shields, the charge, the berserking, all of everything that has to go do with the barbarians. And I don't recall there being a single barbarian in there. And I think maybe one of the reasons he was so successful was because he didn't have to fight any barbarians. So I
Oh,
don't know if maybe he just doesn't like barbarians or he's afraid of barbarians, but I don't recall them being in there. And that just made the whole thing unbelievable to me.
all right. Um, as for what we don't like, I don't like someone who doesn't care about food. My wife and I are obsessed with food. There's some food right there. Food we grew. We grow a ton of it. Um, then we use that to cook and bake from scratch. My wife and I talk about food all the time to the annoyance of people around us. We think about it. We watch videos. We read cookbooks. We plan out meals. We harvest our own seeds and work at stretching our growing season every year so we can start planting earlier and harvest later and later. I mean, food is probably what I spend most of my time on. Sorry, writing, or my family, or all of my other responsibilities. Um, but I also like to eat my feelings when dealing with my mom's illness or all of the other unpleasant aspects of my life. So, what kind of message does it send when the main character, Ben Hales, is granted a special power where he doesn't have to eat? Food is of no concern to him. Do these writers research me and then specifically attack the things I love? Are they coming for my goats and chickens next? Or my sweet Labrador puppy? It feels like it. I give a dark path 0 out of so many. Oops, I forgot I had a picture of this. A 0 out of so many homemade, gigantic turkey pot pies.
Mm.
Yeah, that was. It's so good. It's so good. All the herbs and the vegetables come from the garden. I mean, yeah,
I
it's
haven't
no
eaten yet,
wonder I'm fat
so
right now.
it's you're
You
making me really hungry. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to finish here before I go grab a steak.
just drink more. That's calories.
That's
All right,
true.
all right, Daniel. What don't
So
you like?
it's not so much that I don't like, but I don't believe in ghosts. That's one of the things I've always said that whether you believe in God or the devil, both of them are strong enough to pull your spirit to them if they want it. And lo and behold, they had ghosts. And so again, just took me out of this story. They didn't explain how those ghosts existed. And so I gave them 0 out of 4 hauntings for
Pardon me. Oh, excuse me. All right. I didn't mind the ghosts. I mean, it's hard because I don't want to give anything away. But let's just move on to
I know.
things we can talk about that we liked without spoiling the plot. Would you care to go first, Daniel?
Sure. So I was surprised. First of all, I read it on Kindle, and I don't know if you know this about me, but I do not like reading stuff on Kindle.
I didn't know.
However, I really got drawn into the story, and everything made sense. Everything followed a logical path, and I was really pleasantly surprised. I think this might be the first lit RPG book I've ever read, and I didn't think that I would like it that much, but I actually enjoyed it very much, and I'm kind of looking forward to the second one.
Nice. Well, I have read like 7 or 8 lit RPG books, so I'm a pro. Uh, I also liked it. I like the feel of the book, the mood. I thought there were very creative ideas about the world and the game. I really like the vengeance aspect. I would like some of that, some vengeance in my own life. I have a huge list of people I would like the vengeance all over. Um, it is tough because there is so much in the book I don't want to give away. Um, it's hard. A lot of the things I want to talk about, I feel like would be spoilers, and I don't want to do that to anybody reading the book. That's not fair. So I think that's all I'm going to say. We'll just move into the actual awarding of less than a full star to the book. I give A Dark Path, Forsaken Talents Book 1 by Stuart Thaman 1/10 of a star due to no Costco and the main character not eating food, which is infuriating. And in fact, I'm getting mad all over again just thinking about it. Um, but Daniel, what portion of a star do you give it?
I I'm going to give him half a star because I kind of feel bad that these are just my personal preferences. But still, he had ghosts. He didn't have any barbarians, and I mean, how can you have ghosts and not have barbarians? So that's why I gave him my half a star.
Well, that was very generous.
I'm a
All right,
generous
let's look.
guy.
Let's look at the comments if I can navigate over there. My mouse is really giving me trouble today. Um, all right, well, this is just begging for money, right? That's what that is. Um, AF Stewart is here. Hello, Anita. Uh, Jonathan, Tiffany Brothers, a bunch of people. Um, that is, I think, entirely plausible. I mean, they've taken it all in house for Costco chickens, and it is amazing. Um, Anita's more on task with the show. No barbarians disappointing.
I
Vanessa's
know, right?
here. Boy, Anita is really on my side for these reviews. No eating. What kind of madness is that? And then pragmatic Vanessa, I want a turkey pot pie. You should. It is freaking amazing. Um, I yeah, I love pot pie. I mean, bread or crust, and then meat and vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
it's
not to
got
like?
everything I love. You know.
And the
Um,
gravy. Oh,
yes. Now the people are just using our show to talk to each other. Um, that's nice. Uh, nice. Uh, oh no,
uh,
really, really getting off track. Um, okay, I was gonna say that makes more sense. All right. Well, we are going to move on. Thank you for your comments. Please keep them coming. We'll be back to check them a little later. Um, but right now, I think I, like everyone, want to get to know author Daniel E. Myers, a tiny bit better. And while we do this, I'm going to put up your cover. If I can get my mouse to cooperate. Boy, it is really. All right. So go ahead, Daniel. Tell us all about yourself.
well, I live in Minnesota, so when you talk about being cold, it's so cold here. I saw some teenagers with their pants pulled all the way up. It is negative degrees. But I wrote these books. I originally had the idea for these books like in college, and went and pursued an accounting degree, and I just kind of puttered away at the story and puttered away at the story, and then finally during COVID, along with 50 other million people, I decided I'd sit down and write it. So I wrote it. I think it's a fun story. Um, I hope it's pretty well done. I paid a ton of money to editors to, you know, help my accounting degree. Remember, accounting degree. Spreadsheets, I'm great with words. But I think it turned out really, really good. I'm really proud
Definitely.
of it. It's not dark like Game of Thrones. I wrote it because I have a 7-year-old granddaughter, and I'm hoping she'll get to read it soon. And yeah, so
All right.
that's it's a fun book. I am really proud of it.
You should be. I enjoyed it very much. All right. Oh yeah, me. I am Ron Lahr. I cook, I bake, I garden, I write. I write epic fantasy like Children of Cthulhu and the rest of that trilogy. Thank you. I also write humorous science fiction like You Get What You Steal, which I think is like the best title of all time. I just love that title. I also write self-help books like You're as Stupid as You Are Fat, How to Talk to Women. Um, all of my books are available on Amazon. I also host the game show Indie Mayhem right here on the Go Indie Now channel. It premiered its second season last night, and I thought it was a lot of fun. But it's like every other week. Mean Reviews is every week. But yes, there we are. That's me. Um, all right, let's do our second review. This review is for season 1 of the web series Namaste, Bitches. Um, created, written by, and starring Summer Chaston. Tragically, Summer took her own life last month, only a few weeks after she agreed to let us review the show. Um, it's she was an amazing writer and actor. She will be missed. As a special tribute to her, we will be reviewing season 2 of Namaste Bitches later this season, kind of bookend the whole season around her. But for now, we're just going to talk about season 1. Um, pardon me. Oh, no, synopsis. Namaste Bitches is about a yoga instructor from New York who moves to LA and tries to get established there as a yoga instructor. Complications arise, hilarity ensues. We'll jump right into our likes. Um, I like watching shows. Did you guys ever see Better Off Ted? Great show. Um, or Don't Trust the Bee in Apartment 23? Genius. Psych, perfect for viewers my age. Uh, and The West
Mhm.
Wing. Did you ever see people? Did you ever see better walking and talking than The West Wing? Never. Um, but anyways, I like watching shows and not exercising. So this was a tough one for me because it was a show and a fine one at that. But no one on the show watched TV, so I didn't care for that. Um, and then people exercised a whole bunch, which no thank you. I get my exercise naturally by gardening, taking care of animals, building things. I don't just exercise without doing any chores. What a luxury that is. I mean, rich people, am I right? I
Yeah.
mean that. So anyway, I want to be more productive than just exercising for the sake of exercising. So I had some trouble with that. But for its anti-TV bias, I give Namaste Bitches 1/1,000,000th of a TV. But Daniel, what do you like?
Well, so I totally got the name, put different conjuration in my head. So when it said bitches, I thought there's going to be dogs and peaceful, nice dogs. And I really like puppies. I was really hoping when I read the title that they'd be having some puppies. But I don't think I saw a dog in the show once. And that disappointed me because I mean you're out in California, they got dog walkers. I just thought that they should have had a few more dogs in the show, and so I gave it 0 out of 4 paws.
That makes complete sense. Um, we're going to move into our things we don't like. I don't like moving, um, and I'm in the process of moving right now. Luckily, we're only moving about 150 feet because there is a law in Spokane County where I live for an ADU or accessory dwelling unit. It can only be 800 square feet and no further than 150 feet away from the main home. So, to help my folks, that's what we had to do. Um, although you can build as big of a house as you want if you are helping your parents. But once they die, you have to tear it down in a very short time frame. So who the hell would do that? I mean, it's just like it's slap in the face. Sure, build a
Rich
house as big
people.
as you want. You just have to burn it down when it's yeah. Anyway, yeah, rich people, those fuckers. So so anyways, I am moving in below freezing weather to a very small house, 150 feet away from my parents' house. So this is a very sensitive subject for me right now. Sabine, the main character in Namaste Bitches, on the other hand, moves all the way from New York to warm and sunny LA, and we don't even see it happen. She moves all the way across the country. I am moving from one icy cold part of the property to another located across a driveway, a gravel driveway, and I fall down. I get muddy shoes. I hurt my back. My wife got a nasty paper cut. It is nothing but problems. So, triggering me about moving, I give Namaste Bitches 1/10 of a hand truck. Uh, Daniel, what don't you like?
Well, you kind of touched on it. I don't like exercising. Um,
Are you,
I don't even like working that's physical. I just kind of a sedentary person. So uh, there was a lot of exercise in this show. A lot of people doing yoga and stretching, and guy doing handstands, and they went on a
yeah.
jog, and I just could not relate to that at all. So I gave that 0 out of the 10,000 steps you're supposed to get every day.
Oh, nice. And that jog was up a freaking mountain. I mean, it
Yeah,
was it.
just
So I have goats. I have goats, and our property has it was part wheat field, and then it's rocks and hill and stuff. And when we got the goats, my dad's like, "Hey, where are you going to put the goats?" I'm like, "Oh, way up here, as far away as can possibly be, up at the edge of the property, up this hill. The worst place is where I picked it." And my dad's like, "Are you sure? Because you're going to have to carry food and feed and water up there every day. Because in the winter we don't have running water up there. In the non-winter we do." Well, anyway, I'm like, old man, he's 80 years old, going up a hill real hard for him. So I build this building up there and I fence it all in. And then we're going. My wife and I are walking up the hill to, well, really climbing up the hill to put the goats away after just a few days after we have them. And I'm like, is it me or is this hill steeper at dark? I mean, or after dark? This is insane. And you know how when you exercise, you're a little sore the next day, and the second day you're really sore, and then after that you're fine. That never happened. I mean, for weeks I would wake up with my legs aching from dealing with the goats up there. And I'm like, is that it? Is that just my life now? Do I just always have legs that hurt? And eventually, like 3.5 weeks in, it finally stopped. But I was scared for a while. Anyway, um,
your dad
let
was right, is what you're saying.
oh my God, he was so right, and it's so frustrating. I mean, I already have a wife who's right all the time, and now my goddamn dad is right. I'm like, it's very upsetting for me. But let's move on to the things we could talk about that we liked without spoiling the plot. I liked how amazing the show looked. I mean, holy mackerel. Uh, I guess if you're going to make a show, an indie show, you should do it in LA where there's a bunch of people around who are professionals that can work on it with you. I mean, I have seen one I thought that looked almost as good or equally as good made in New York. But it's like, if you're not going to make it in New York or in LA, I'm betting it's not going to look as good because that looked perfect. Um,
Yeah, the
And
quality there was just amazing.
I mean, the sound, the lighting, the production was so impressive. I mean, of course, I love the writing. I love the acting. They even, uh, yeah, it was very impressive. And then, of course, there's a curse word in the name of the show, which I like very much. I'm a huge fan of profanity. So uh, those are the things I liked. How about you, Daniel?
I liked a lot of those same things. I I really like shows like that are kind of like behind the scenes, and so like The Office and stuff like that work with the interactions of people and the cattiness and the backbiting and all that kind of stuff. I She did a fantastic job of that, in my opinion.
Agree.
And I that's what I think I enjoyed the most, was just kind of the acting was fantastic too. Some of her expressions and other people and the way they pulled it off. It was a caricature, but believable, if that makes sense. And
Definitely.
I
Yeah,
thought it was extremely well done. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it.
me too. And I had watched
And they're
it.
short.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, a lot of episodes are like that. It's so quick, and then I'll be like, it feels like that that they should have done more to justify this many credits. At the end. But uh, I had watched it when Joe Compton, the president, the founder of Goni Now, when he suggested it, I went out and watched them all. And then right before the show last weekend, I watched it again to as a refresher, and both times, I mean, even after the second viewing, I was not annoyed. Yeah, just a very enjoyable show. But now it is ratings time, and I give Namaste Bitches, created, written by, and starring Summer Chaston, 9/10 of a star because I'm a softie and I am so sad that we won't be getting any more new projects from Summer. Daniel?
Well, I'm tempted to do that as well, but I'm just going to give her 2/10 of a star, just because the exercising and the lack of dogs was just too much for me to take.
You cold-hearted son of a bitch. That's
I
great.
am.
Good for
I am.
you. Ah, you're perfect. You should co-host all the time on the show, because sometimes the people are so nice. They're like, oh, but we don't have that problem with you. That's perfect. All right.
Yeah, people say I'm unfeeling, but I'm not. Uh,
You, you,
I feel bad. I just don't
oh,
care.
good. Perfect. All right. Uh-oh. Um, all right. We have some controversy here. We're gonna look at the comments again. Uh, this is from Joe Compton. Makes you hungrier than you were when you. It's like, yeah, the only non-cooking show that makes you hungry, I think. Um, and this is very nice. Vanessa, uh,
I love you, Vanessa.
yeah, she's sweet. Now, here's the trouble. Costco's overrated. Twice a week is fine. I mean, how many grapes could one person eat? Well, that is a great point. There are a lot of clickbait articles about, things you shouldn't buy at Costco. And most of it comes down to don't buy so much. There's too much food to eat. Well, as pigs, we eat all the food. And we have four people. There's four adults to feed. So, and then we have like three freezers. So when we make things, a lot of it gets thrown. So we eat a lot. And obviously there are certain things that we don't buy there. But and Vanessa, her husband, can eat the grapes. I mean, I love grapes. I'm gonna actually plant grapes this year. So I'm very excited. I mean, they're not technically, they're Oregon grapes, so they're not really grapes, but I don't know. I want to do that. Where are we at here? He's just saying. Well, yeah, oh, finally another West Wing fan. That show is so good. Um, all right, that does sound scary.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Some behind the scenes info on Namaste Bishes. In the show's defense, they couldn't afford the beautiful dogs, and that is a requirement in LA. Well, that doesn't make sense. And
Okay.
then
I didn't know that.
some criminal activity suggested here. Um, Paper cuts are the worst. it's so funny because the thing about paper cuts for me, my wife really got her hand pretty good. And I'm like, it's always such a surprise because, it's not like, I mean, we have so many knives for cooking. If you cut yourself with a kitchen knife, that is not a surprise. It's like almost inevitable because we use some knives all the time and we are not professionals, so we're just, and even the professionals cut themselves all the time.
Yeah, they make
So
gloves for that.
they do, but I only wear that when I'm doing something particularly dangerous. I mean, it's just so unwieldy. So, I mean, I accept it. I'm going to cut myself. Um, but the paper cut is just so unexpected, and she was quite surprised. Um, Vanessa, we're like twins. Uh, all right, and then here's one. I don't know what the heck this is for. She loves Daniel, but why? Context, people. All right. Again, though, yeah, West Wing. And the weird thing is, my wife, um, she just cannot get into West Wing. I'm like, I've watched the series multiple times. The writing is just so amazing, and the performances. I mean, it's just amazing. And um, yeah, I haven't been able to do that. Yeah, and I haven't watched the newsroom yet. Um, our problem is, oh, that's nice. I'm happy for you guys. But we keep getting more and more streaming services. Will be like, we have Roku TV, so we have that, and then we go to NetSuite and HBO Max and Paramount Plus and um, Acorn, which is all British Empire shows, so Australia, New Zealand, Canada, and then we have Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN. So, uh, well, that is very true. I am the mean twin. But so there's so many things to watch, and it has driven the threshold for us down so well. It's just we watch one episode. It's like, are we going to watch this or not? I mean, before we would watch half of a season before we made a decision, unless it was terrible. Anyway, now we're really now we are really quick to pull the trigger on a show because we got like 10,000 other shows to watch. All right. Well, we
And
should
I just
thank
don't
you.
watch that much TV, so it's
I don't have time to watch as much as I would like. I would say that. But every night before we go to bed, we watch something.
yeah. I like
Almost
to
every night.
read.
Well, I read a crap load, and I
I
read
bet.
incredibly fast. I read really fast, and yet still with as good a retention as I've ever had. Um, and so I don't feel short, like I'm getting short changed on reading. Because I'm like addicted to that. I read. If it weren't for KU, I used to spend so much money on books. So thank God for KU. I mean, another huge example of Amazon being a hero. That's what I say.
Hmm.
Um, all right, let's get back to it. Um, oh, all right. Well, we're going to say goodbye to Daniel for now, for his own safety. Thank you, and I'll thank you again in a bit. But thank you. All right, I've got something new for this season. Each episode, after my co-host and I review the two indie projects, I'm going to give the same treatment to a famous non-indie book, movie, TV show, album, etc. And today I will be reviewing Star Wars, a George Lucas film from 1977, in case you don't know what the Star Wars logo looks like. In this film, a whiny kid does a crappy job at his chores when he does them at all, and daydreams all the time. He's a real slacker. But when his aunt and uncle die, he really takes it to heart. I'm just kidding. He's fine. He doesn't even think about it for most of the rest of the movie. But it does allow him to leave. And he goes with this old guy and a smart aleck and a giant teddy bear. And they go rescue a princess. And then he blows up this bad guy's space station. And at the end, he gets a medal. Well, they all get a medal. But so that's my synopsis of Star Wars. The things I like. I like actors who play themselves and have fun with it. Did you ever see Don't Dress the Bee in Apartment 23, which I'm really giving a lot of play? I'm giving him a lot of press in this show. But James Vanderbeek plays an exaggerated version of himself, and it is hilarious. I didn't hate him or anything before, but after seeing that show, which I have watched multiple times, I am now a huge fan of James Van Der Beek. Um, but sadly, in Star Wars, everybody plays a completely different person. What a wasted opportunity. Star Wars gets 0 out of 3 fictionalized versions of actors. Now I'm going to jump on to things I don't like. Robots taking jobs from people. I'm just kidding. I'm a Republican, so that doesn't bother me at all. What I really don't like is how cool the bad guys looked in the movie. It was very confusing. The stormtroopers look cool. The X-wing pilots look ridiculous, and not just because I'm not a fan of the color orange. They look like they're wearing pajamas or long underwear. It's hard to root for such fashion-challenged people. Like in World War II, the Nazis had all those Mercedes vehicles, the half tracks, the staff cars, motorcycles. How do you not root for the people who have Mercedes? Like I said, very confusing. So I give Star Wars 0 out of 5 fashion senses. Um, Things I like about the movie that I can share without ruining the plot. Well, I feel like I'm not in any danger of ruining the plot with spoilers. I was 7 when Star Wars came out. I had a Star Wars shirt that was the classic movie poster T-shirt. I wore it until it fell apart. So as a child, I loved the movie. I had a bunch of the toys, the Death Star, the Millennium Falcon, so many more. I loved everything about Star Wars. Of course, I was just a stupid kid. Now I know better. Even though it is an amazing film that changed the world, um, I have to give Star Wars, now known as Episode 4 A New Hope, which is so upsetting to me. I mean, unreasonably upsetting. But A New Hope by George Lucas, I give it 1/7 of a star due to the lack of an actor playing an hilarious fictionalized version of themselves and the confusing fashion choices between the good guys and the bad guys. But before we go, a final note to Disney. You are a giant company, and I am a big fan. Please don't destroy my life over me kidding around about Star Wars. All right. And now my weekly round wrap up. Thank you for watching Mean Reviews, No Stars Given. Please like this show and subscribe to the Go Indie Now channel. I'd also like to thank
Daniel Myers
for being today's guest co-host. You were magnificent. Everyone should buy your stuff. I was truly lucky to have you with me here on the show. We should totally hang out sometime because we are very much actual, in real life friends. I also need to thank the 2 writers or filmmakers who agreed to let us review their book or movie. You are very trusting, and I appreciate that. Even though their stuff is not to my liking, as evidenced by the fact that they received not even 1 star from me, I recommend that you purchase their work, even if it's just out of pity. So thank you.
Namaste, Bitches by Summer Chasent.
And also,
A Dark Path, Forsaken Talents, Book 1 by Stuart Thaman.
you 2 are the best. If you would like to have your book or film reviewed on this show, please email me at ronlahr@gmail.com. That's almost it. In fact, there's only one thing left to say, but it's an important thing. So remember,
It's always time to go indie now.